At the first light of day, as the ship begins in the mine, as the sun continues to come up and shine on those conveyors and stockpiles, teams of miners are busy with pre-shift inspections of mobile equipment, fueling of mobile equipment, welding tasks, putting on fall protection and working in aerial lifts, operating scale houses to weigh trucks loaded with aggregates and various products, and countless other tasks almost too numerous to name. Eventually, nightfall comes, a new shift begins, and then something may occur that's one of our worst nightmares in the mining environment. A fire that starts as a small fire explodes into a free-burning fire that may be out of control very quickly and kill miners. Now, often our first instinct tells us, let's immediately attempt to put that fire out. Our instincts may be wrong and put us in a situation in which a fire threatens our lives and, yes, may even kill us. Now, we've asked several miners in a U.S. granite mine and a certified trainer in firefighting safety to help us create this program, Stop the Fire in Its Tracks, in two parts to protect lives and prevent deaths from fires in mining. The first section of the training program is devoted to prevention of fires in mining. That's right, methods to actually prevent fires from ever starting in maintenance shops, welding shops, shipping and receiving stations, all powered haulage and mobile equipment, fuel stations, MCC electrical rooms, scale houses, and other areas. The second section of this program will focus on methods that you can use to fight incipient fires. That is, small fires that are just starting that you can use A, B, or C fire extinguishers on, but also will include what to do if you can't fight the fire and you have to call 911 and outside responders and firemen. Now, right up front, a certified trainer in firefighting methods, Daryl Spradley of Wright Training and Consulting of Georgia, in an actual mine training session warns you about conditions that prevent you from fighting a fire with a fire extinguisher. Listen carefully.
For portable fire extinguishers, we're limited to an incipient fire, which is a small fire. So if a fire is larger than an incipient fire, then portable fire extinguishers aren't going to be sufficient. The rules would be, is there smoke present? If there's smoke present, you don't need to breathe smoke. So in that case, you wouldn't fight that fire. You would activate 911 and get the proper authorities en route. Number two is excessive heat. You don't want to expose yourself to excessive heat because you do not have personal protective clothing to protect you from that heat. So the heat from the fire, the smoke from the fire, those are things that prevent you from using a portable fire extinguisher to activate suppression efforts for that fire.
Also, if there's visible rapid growth of the flames, then don't attempt to fight the fire. Don't try to be a hero and put yourself in danger. Remember, these are conditions that prevent you from fighting a fire with an extinguisher. Okay, now let's shift gears and very closely examine methods to help prevent fires from starting in maintenance shops, welding shops, shipping and receiving stations, powered haulage vehicles, fuel stations, MCC rooms, and scale houses. Many of these prevention methods involve housekeeping in which you keep any flammable materials away from sources of heat and fire.
General housekeeping. If we keep things cleaned up, if you take a pile of woolly rags and throw them over in the corner and leave them, a chemical chain reaction takes place and we're going to have some combustion. So proper storage of any materials that could be flammable, proper storage of flammable liquids in cabinets, in proper containers, everything labeled, placed in the proper location is critical.
Whether proper discarding of oily rags, checking temperatures of electrical circuits in MCC rooms, or removing trash from welding tables, many miners think that is not my job, somebody else should be doing that. Well, one miner that we've talked to says put your safety cap on, get involved, practice housekeeping, and protect us all from fire danger.
If you're not going to do it for yourself, do it for the man right next to you, because they have a family. They want to go home as they came here, and if you're not going to at least look out for yourself, be mindful of everybody else that's around you, because we're all one family, and if we're a family, we're going to look out for each other.
It is the most important technique we can use in firefighting because, as I said, when you're preventing a fire from happening, then you're not having to fight it in the first place.
Let's begin by turning our attention to and focusing on maintenance shop areas. Now here, putting oily rags in proper sealed containers, removing all trash and putting it into proper containers, and inspection of fire extinguishers on a daily, a monthly, and an annual basis are powerful tools in fire prevention. The fire extinguisher inspections are critical.
Most of our fire extinguishers are located in certain areas based off the frequency of where fires could possibly occur. So they're actually put in certain areas in order to avoid those frequent occurrences.
Be sure to install drums to hold the oily rags.
If we make it easy for our workers to access those disposal areas, then they're going to be more inclined to put them away when they need to be put away rather than just dropping them on the floor in a corner somewhere.
Now, let's move to a separate area and examine welding shop areas where fire extinguisher inspections are extremely important. In interior areas especially, you should always place welding curtains between welding torch activity and other persons as well as flammable materials.
Even if you've got two welders in the same room both wearing their welding hoods, a lot of times people don't realize that arc flash is going to reflect off the back of your hood and blind you that way.
Also, if other trash, flammable materials, or even improperly stored welding clothing are present, remove them before igniting that welding torch. Remember, you are preventing a fire.
It's the most important part. To prevent a fire, it's a whole lot better than fighting a fire. If you can prevent fires, that's the best option.
Let's now continue our examination of fire prevention methods by moving to shipping and receiving areas, where you must keep inventory properly secured, wrapped, and containerized safely. So if you and another miner see flammable hazards that might be ignited here, like broken pallets, piles of cardboard, and stacks of plastic wrapping in the area, what would you say to him if he said, "That is not our job, let somebody else do it"?
I would tell him, let's get that up together. It's everybody's job to keep everybody safe. It's not one man's job to keep you safe around. It's a team effort.
He's right. Pick those materials up immediately. Transport and dispose of them properly in dumpsters. And as we move along, remember, our firefighting trainer tells us prevention is not a waste of time in firefighting.
The best way to attack a fire is prevent it from happening to begin. So prevention is the ultimate means of fighting a fire because you're preventing it from occurring in the first place.
Now, let's look closely at and examine mobile equipment inspections where it's absolutely essential to perform a daily pre-shift inspection with a focus on hoses and lines. Damaged fuel, lubricant, or hydraulic lines can ignite and burn a haul truck or a piece of mobile equipment to the ground.
All it takes is for that flammable liquid to hit something on that motor that's hot enough to ignite it, and there it goes. I mean, as far as a blown line versus a line that was leaking and you knew about it, I mean, that could be a very potentially dangerous outcome.
Inspect all mobile equipment. If there's any fluid line damage or safety defect of any kind, report it and have it repaired immediately. Also, an additional area where fire prevention is of utmost importance would be fueling stations. Always be sure that the proper fire extinguisher is present at the fueling station. Now, what should you do if there isn't a fire extinguisher there?
I definitely wouldn't be getting any fuel until I notified someone and got the proper equipment over there.
Also, obviously you should never ever smoke in the fuel station complex, and you should always, repeat, always stay with the fuel hose until the mobile equipment tank is properly filled. Why?
You never know when that fuel hose is gonna malfunction. I mean, it could stay pumping fuel once your equipment gets fueled or anything. It could stay pumping and then you just have a big old mess out there.
Also, if you see a fuel spill, stop and immediately, repeat, immediately report the fuel spill to your supervisor and have it cleaned up at once. Another area that you can take a vital role in fire prevention is in MCC electrical rooms and stations. Only persons certified and approved to enter those areas should regularly inspect for any loose breaker switch connections. Additionally, infrared scanners should be used to identify any breaker switches that are running hot and/or overheating. Malfunction and arc flash can extend up to 10 feet and be extremely flammable. Any defects should be reported and corrected immediately. And again, you're asking, well, why immediately?
People operate everyday life, and they just don't think about, hey, I could actually catch this on fire, and this could be my last day, or I could end up in the hospital, or I get somebody hurt.
Now that we've closely examined fire prevention methods, let's turn our attention to, if a fire occurs, conditions that permit you to attempt to extinguish an incipient fire, again, which is defined as a small fire that an extinguisher will combat. Extinguishers in your mind labeled as A, B, or C can be used. Our certified trainer in incipient firefighting says your first step is to activate the fire alarm in the fire area and to identify what materials are burning and is this the proper extinguisher.
So we got different classes of materials. We got Class A materials, which are wood, paper, plastic. Any material that burns and leaves an ash, we consider Class A materials. Class B materials are flammable liquids. And you can remember that because they're transported in barrels, bottles, buckets, etc. And then Class C fire is an energized electrical fire, in which case the material I'm going to use to extinguish that fire needs to be non-conductive so that I don't get a shock from that material.
Now, our fire trainer gives you life-saving guidelines on using that fire extinguisher to fight the incipient fire.
If we are going to attack an incipient fire with portable fire extinguishers, first thing, is there anybody in harm's way? If someone is in harm's way, then we want to try to get them out of the way if we can do so safely. We want to get the proper extinguisher for the proper material burning. Is it wood and paper? Is it a flammable liquid? What is the material burning? Get the proper ABC extinguisher for that material which we're covering. And then make sure that you have an exit. Do not put yourself in a position where you cannot turn and go back to an exit. Do not allow the fire be between you and the exit. So always have an escape route.
Let that sink in. Always have an escape route. If the fire has excessive heat, smoke, there's visible rapid growth, and you don't have the proper extinguishing equipment, our trainer says follow your company's rules for calling 911 and be ready to provide information to the outside fire department.
If you are the one reporting that call to 911 for the mining industry, we really need to know what is burning, we need to know where it is, and we need someone to guide us to that location. Because you got a big area here, and the local fire department may or may not be intimately familiar with your area. So have someone meet them at the road, bring them to the area, give them as much information on the front end as possible.
In closing, we want to thank our 5 miners and our certified firefighting trainer helping us to focus on the prevention of fires in the mine, and then methods for you to fight an incipient fire, or procedures and information for calling 911 and the outside fire department. Again, why have our miners emphasized fire prevention as being the biggest strong-arm tool in fighting fires?
If you don't pay attention to your surroundings and things that can catch on fire, you don't know the outcome until it does catch on fire. And then you're left to figure out, uh-oh, what am I going to do now?
And why did another miner say we should all do our part in fire prevention?
If you're not going to do it for yourself, do it for the man right next to you, because they have a family. They want to go home as they came here, and if you're not going to at least look out for yourself, be mindful of everybody else that's around you, because we're all one family, and if we're a family, we're going to look out for each other.